You're listening to the Major Pod Network, the only place where your favorite toy store, card shop, arcade, theme park, and arena are all on the same block. Scratch that major itch.
This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast presented by the Major Pod Network. I'm the man they call Johnny Clash.
And I am Mr. Anything is Feasible, George Feis. And today we are playing Smack Talk Showdown. I'm kind of excited about this one, John. I'm not going to lie to you. How is this one going to hold up? Is it going to get a play it forever? Woo! Or a future endeavor?
You're fired!
We're also covering more WWE 2K22 news. We've got some My Rise mode info and brand new information on the Rey Mysterio showcase mode.
And don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review for this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and follow us on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. And check out the exclusive content like right now. This is the first video version for Patreon members at patreon.com/GameMarksPod. Georgia boy, how you doing? I could see you. Everyone could see you. Our Patreon members can see you. For everyone else, they could hear you. How you doing?
I say I can actually see you, and you can see me. And this is usually how we do this with the video, so that way, it's like we're talking to each other. And this is the first video episode, like you said. Hello to everyone on Patreon watching this now in video form. Let's go right into some follow-up from last week, John. Fire Pro Wrestling 2, naked Ethan Page on the cover. How did you feel about the game itself?
I tweeted that at him. He popped for that. He said, hell yeah. I would be lying if I told you that I didn't search eBay for this. But I realized I would probably just never play it if I bought it. But I would just want it just to have it, and that's just pointless to me. So I scratched that. I didn't buy it, but I would. So this game kind of stuck with me. I like it as a Fire Pro, but I also like it as a handheld alternative to the other games we loved, like Road to WrestleMania and Road to WrestleMania X8. So play it forever.
Yeah, it's the same thing we said about the last one. It's hard to hate a game that takes all of the fun and function of a Fire Pro game and puts it into a handheld console. And how do you, if you like the Fire Pro games, how are you not going to like that one? So easy play it forever from both of us last week.
We also changed things up last week. We started putting out playthroughs every week for the games that we were playing. So we did
a lot of that lately.
Yeah, nice Fire Pro Wrestling 2 for the Game Boy Advance playthrough on our YouTube channel. Clash at the Feast is kind of on, I guess, it's on the ice. It's on the hiatus for a little bit. But that doesn't mean it's gone forever. We just think after 3 years of George whooping my ass, we would take a little break from that, and we would just do playthroughs of every game. And I think it's pretty cool so far. But
in my opinion, what I think the future of Clash at the Feast looks like is that becomes a segment in the video. Last week, obviously, kind of difficult. It requires a lot of finagling on by both of us having the console and the link cables, or working some emulator magic to get that to work. And that's just, it's a lot more complicated than it needs to be. So when the game allows for it, Clash at the Feast will still be a thing. It'll just be a segment, and there won't be like a hard count anymore. Because
okay.
I think John's ego's taking a little bit from that.
Okay, we get it. Hey, I did good. And you know what? I started beating you in Fire Pro games, and that's all I ever wanted.
I'll never be mad about that.
But this week, this is it. The moment we've been waiting for over 2 years. WWE 2K22 is releasing. Now, obviously, we're recording this before the game comes out. So next week, we're going to have our play. We both pre-ordered, so we're going to have our whole insight on our playthroughs, and we're going to talk about what everyone else is experiencing, and we'll ask you guys what you've been experiencing with the game. Are there bugs? I saw some videos. There was Batista's foot was like getting stuck in the rope. I'm like, oh no, here we go again. But nothing too bad. But Ringside Report 3 came out, and they dove a little deeper into the showcase mode, and I thought it was pretty cool, the stuff they showed. We're getting Halloween Havoc, full Purple Ray versus Eddie Guerrero.
That was number one on my list.
I feel like you can't have a Rey Mysterio showcase mode without that.
Oh yeah, you need it. It's like one of the, I mean, when other wrestlers in multiple companies and in multiple matches start ripping off Rey Mysterio's gear
even
from
against
that
him.
match, how do you just not have that in there? And I mean, how many tributes have you seen to all of Eddie's that tight style design? Like, there's so many things that people have done to pay respect to them. So
here's the thing. I saw one post that said, now that we have this Eddie, that means we could do an Eddie and China team because he wore similar gear and had the similar hair.
It's the No Mercy trunks.
Exactly. So now you could put Eddie with China in the game as well. But we also saw a bunch from like the 2009 to 2010 era. We saw him versus The Undertaker, him versus Dolph Ziggler, Batista, Shawn Michaels. So we're getting it all. I'm curious to see what other like ECW, WCW matches we're going to have. But I don't know. Like every other showcase mode, it's going to be objective based. So you're going to have the little objectives in the corner that lead to the cutscenes, which kind of like someone was questioning, like, is that worth it? But I think for this, and there's so much being involved in these games and all these different modes, I think it's okay. It's kind of cool to like relive those and just think we're in our 30s. We've saw these matches. There are kids that didn't, and they might think this is cool and then go watch them. Yeah.
So I think for me, a thing, I don't know why every time this comes up, we're like, oh, I wonder what other things we're going to get from like the 2000s. I'm like, I wonder if we're going to get like a cutscene or like a clip of Big Show using Ray as the bat on the gurney.
Oh.
Like, I feel like that's a very forgotten moment. It's a very commonly forgotten moment where Big Show swings Ray on awesome. Like a bat on the gurney.
Even Brock destroyed him.
Yeah,
I think the coolest part of this whole thing is they recorded commentary from Rey Mysterio while he watched these matches, and I think that's going to be just to get the insight from the guy himself. That's going to be awesome. And they filmed them lucha style, where like he's in the mask and a suit. Oh, you're going to love it because you were a big Lucha Underground guy.
Oh yeah, and they did something like this very similar to the women's showcase mode in 2K20 2 years ago, where as they go through everyone's storyline and they jump from character to character, they've got Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Bailey sitting down in front of a camera being like, hey, in NXT, when I had this match with so-and-so, and, this was the storyline leading up to it. And like, it's cool because you get like a little bit of insight and like maybe some things that you didn't know beforehand, that now are that match happened like 6-7 years ago, that now they're like, oh yeah, here's like a little fun unknown fact that you didn't know about this going into this. Like, it's like cool stuff like that. And I'm expecting or hoping that we're going to get something very similar with Ray doing the same now.
Yeah, for sure. And it got me thinking, like, The Undertaker might be like the sole inductee this year, no pun intended, into the Hall of Fame. If they maybe next year do like an Undertaker one, bring from the beginning with like Bruce Pritchard or Brother Love, and that could be so cool. But what if they did it? See, I think this is where they kind of dropped the ball last year, where your creator wrestlers were doing their Hall of Fame induction speech. But what if they did it with like the real induction speech of whatever the Undertaker gives, and then flash back to these matches? I think something like that would be so cool. And then you could do whoever else, DX, Harlem Heat, whoever else is in the Hall of Fame. I think that would be awesome.
I just hear Brian Myers in my head right now going, Hillbilly Jim still making that Hall of Fame induction speech.
That was so brutal. You want to know a fun fact? I've never seen Sting's induction speech.
What?
That's the one Hall of Fame I just never watched because like I was out or something, and I never rewatched it back. Crazy, right? Crazy.
I'm at a loss for words.
Half of me just
We've been doing this podcast for 3 years,
Yeah.
and you finally have made me at a loss for words.
Part of me just doesn't want to admit that like his career was over, but it's back, so who cares?
It was his WWE run is over, and honestly, he's doing the stuff he's doing in AEW
Seth.
now is way better than anything that he did in that last bit
sure.
of WWE.
All right, so let's talk about My Rise mode, because this is what was mind-blowing to me, how much they put into this, and I'm wondering if they could sustain it in the years coming by doing these yearly releases, we think. So you're getting women's and men's solo stories, which we already knew, but they're going to be decision-based, and that's going to affect your relationships. It's going to affect if you're heel or face and how the stories play out, which we haven't had that since the beginning of SmackDown vs. Raw, I think.
It's a living, breathing thing.
You could play across every brand, NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. You could switch in between. You train at the Performance Center. We already saw the screenshots of Shawn Michaels and Beth Phoenix.
Yeesh.
Like every other game, it's kind of social media based. This is something 2K, even the EA Sports games, UFC have all been doing the past few years, where you get to interact with fans and get feedback of your matches through like kind of like a social media feed. I think 2K19 had this as well. You could pick your characters' backgrounds, which could be MMA, the indies, a pro athlete, or an actor. So I think that will also affect how your character plays out. There are 1,000 playable matches in here, with 9 unique arenas like the Japan Hall and the Mexico Plaza. So you're not just stuck to WWE. You really will rise to the top wherever you start. Makes me wonder, if you pick MMA, are you getting an octagon or a cage?
So this is something that I wanted to talk to you about. Do you think that we're still going to get, because when you and I played, what feels like several years ago, even though it was only 2 years ago, when we did our initial playthroughs of 2K20, and there's those like the high school gym, and then there's like the outside of the VFW hall,
with Tyler
like
Breeze
and like, do you think that we're still going to get those? Or do you think that those are going away? And now in place of that, like maybe before you sign to the WWE, it's like you're in the big Japan Hall. They're not going to call it the Tokyo Dome, but like you're in the Tokyo Dome, but the WWE version of it, or you're in, whatever other big arenas they have. And that
I think
kind
your
of
background
over.
will affect that. If you're a pro athlete, maybe you go right to the Performance Center. Where if you're indies, maybe you're able to do that kind of stuff. That's why I don't know. Maybe MMA, that you're going to have like a few MMA matches. I think that would be kind of cool.
You're a pro athlete. You're the the Super Bowl halftime show.
You never know. 30 wrestler voiceovers from legends and superstars now. Please don't give us that crappy John Cena voice again. No. Please give us real John Cena. Also curious to find out who did the voiceovers for the wrestlers themselves.
I was going to say, I wanted to know, I can't wait to find out who did the voiceovers, and if we have any friends who may have done the motion capture, because we haven't heard anything about who's done mocap aside from whatever actual wrestlers from the WWE did their stuff.
Yeah, that's true. There's 3,000 voice lines on commentary to persuade and kind of go with the stories, and
that doesn't feel like enough, to be honest.
3,000?
I don't know.
Get this. Well, that's unique, because then you're getting the in-match stuff is probably the basic,
the generic match stuff. Yeah,
50 hours plus gameplay time. What?
That's what I want.
That's crazy.
What I want.
Now, I just started Death Stranding last night, and I looked it up, and it's 40 to 50 hours as well. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of gameplay. But this is only My Rise mode. You're also getting, like we said last week, you're getting all these modes. So this is why maybe GM mode isn't as drawn out as it should be. 50 hours of gameplay just in My Rise. Are you even going to finish that before the next game? I don't know.
I will take that. And you know what? For all of the content that we seem to be getting, again, taking everything that we talk about with a grain of salt until we actually have the game in hands. I will take the little rope glitches, and like maybe the hair animation isn't perfect. It's still better than what we got in 2K20. Yeah. And, a lot of this stuff, and this is something that I feel like a lot of people don't take into consideration, and again, little asterisk next to this sentence, I'm not a game developer. I have no history in game development. I probably
there's no asterisk. You are definitely not a game developer.
But like, this isn't like gospel what I'm gonna say. A lot of the stuff in the WWE games has over the last couple of years become more collision based. So like, it doesn't matter what hits the rope or how it hits the rope. It just affects the rope. And obviously, something that we've talked about on this podcast a million times with a bunch of different games, no game really can capture how tight a ring rope is.
Oh, no.
They always are like a rubber band.
Right. And WWE rope, speaking from someone who's been in that ring, it's basically like hitting a piece of steel.
Yeah,
they are tight and they are actual ropes and they suck and they hurt. But it's a video game.
Yeah, I would say, but it's a video game. So it's a little suspension of disbelief. Understand that, there has to be some kind of fun, fantastical, a little bit of leeway in there. And if a move looks better in the video game because it looks like someone's jumping off of a small trampoline when they jump off the top rope, then I'll take it. If everything else about the game is perfect and the only complaint about this year's game is the ring ropes, I think this is a success.
I guess we'll see. I don't know. But, all right, I mean, that's 2K22. It's coming out this week if you're listening on Monday.
Excited.
And for us, it's coming out next week. And, you pre-ordered the NWO version. I did it. The basic because I figured we'd be playing together anyway. So
I did it for the pod.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. I hope you're excited. But today, we're playing Smack Talk Showdown. George, are you ready to dive in?
I am so ready for this. Now, does the normal lead into this kind of apply? Because there's nothing to plug in. There's no nostalgia goggles. But you know what? I'm still excited anyway. We're taking the plunge. It's time for the deep dive. Let's go. All right. Smack Talk Showdown. No Mega Mark pick. We wanted to play this game. We were very excited. We've heard about this game on a bunch of other different podcasts. We've seen it on social media. We are ready to play. This game is released January 7th, 2017, published by Double Turn Games. And you need, for optimal gameplay, at least 3 people to be playing this game with you. Average runtime.
Yeah, which is why our playthrough right now is not happening today because we need to find other people. But I thought about this, George. Why don't we just do it live in our Discord and let them be the judges?
Sure, the trained professional wrestler with years of promo experience against me, who literally has a hard time talking on this podcast because his mouth is filled with marbles.
Oh, but sure, you'll see, though. This is actually, it's pretty challenging. But we digress.
Yes. So average game time runs anywhere between 25 minutes to an hour. And it's a card game. It's awesome. Other games that coming out in 2017, you've got WWE Champions for the iOS and Android, WWE Tap Mania for the iOS and Android, WWE 2K18 for all of the platforms, literally all of them, WWE Mayhem for the iOS and Android.
I still take offense to them naming a game Mayhem. That was not
every time.
WCW
it's going to come up every time we talk about this game, isn't it?
I put a lot of time into that game. So, and Champions as well. Champions was my game for a while. But it's kind of weird seeing... You know what? It's kind of weird seeing all these WWE games that are video games when we're talking about a card game. But there's something unique to this because 3 of them are mobile games. So I feel like mobile games could somewhere in the universe be lumped in with card games because some of them are card games. I don't know. My brain is going somewhere that I don't know if my mouth is.
There's a correlation there. It's not. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I don't know if we're articulating it the best way possible, but I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Now, do we want to talk about the rules of the game and how to play it and all of this? Because
take us through it.
It's somewhat familiar if you've played games like Cards Against Humanity, Apples to Apples, but even if you're not a wrestling fan, I think this could be a lot of fun. So
I also think, you ever play the game Super Fight?
No, I have not.
Super Fight is like Cards Against Humanity, but superheroes.
I'm a big One Night Werewolf guy.
Ooh,
I
Werewolf.
think we've talked about that before. That's a fun game.
You know, Smart Mark Sterling, big fan of Werewolf.
That's right. I brought that up to him, and he was like, "Oh, cool." So,
Big fan. Played it with him on a train many times.
oh. So, Smack Talk Showdown for 3 or more players. Become a pro wrestler and smack talk your opponent in the lead up to your upcoming match, the promo. If you can talk smack, you can play. No wrestling knowledge required. All right, so in here, there's 2 decks of name cards, 1 deck of segment cards, and 1 deck of smack cards. You need a timer, which there's no timer in here. This is just cards. It says to use your cell phone.
I was just going to say, because every cell phone in the world, from the beginnings of cell phones, have had some kind of clock.
Which at first you're like, oh, that's a little weird. But then looking at the packaging, the cards are very tight in here, and I don't think you could fit the timer. It's good packaging.
It's perfect.
So, yeah.
You don't need it.
Also, you will need, it says liquid courage with a question mark. So maybe, you and your friends on a little Friday night, have some brewskis and get a little liquid courage, get some promos going. I think this might be the next game I bring to a family party. I think that would be fun. I'm going to need
that. That's going to be me when we play. I'm going to be...
So let's go through the types of cards here. So you have smack cards. It says these cards dictate the action. They will instruct the wrestlers what to do during their promo. So let's find some of these right now. This is Christmas Carol. So this smack card, which they're very nice cards. I'm going to hold it up here for the Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice cards. I like the logo. It's kind of SmackDown-y, but it's in like the WrestleMania color scheme. The speaker must sing their promo like a Christmas Carol. All right, so we're going to build one here. So that is the smack card.
I'm going to be so bad at this game.
Now there's a segment card. These cards set the theme of the wrestler's promo. They determine what the promos are about and where they take place. So there are a lot of smack cards. Segment cards.
There are 365 unique smack cards.
And we have an expansion here. All right, so
that's the one I really want to talk about.
All right, so the segment is You Lost Your Smile in Rome, Italy. Both players have to explain the non-injury related reason they had to leave the Smack Talk Wrestling Federation. That's cool.
And wait, and you have to sing that?
You have to sing it, yeah, like a Christmas Carol. And there's a name card.
Oh.
These cards have one word on them that makes up the part of your wrestler's name. They can be arranged in any order. So how many do you pick? Let's go to the rules quick. The two youngest players go first.
Hilarious.
The 2 wrestlers draw 1 card from each. Okay, so so we're gonna say that I'll do that one. Christmas Carol's mine, and we both have to explain our non-injury related reason we left Smack Talk Federation. Oh, I drew a blank.
Okay,
George, you get a blank.
Mean?
So I'm gonna assume that means
it's whatever I want it to be.
Whatever you want it to be. Whatever kind of promo you want it to be. Put the cards face up in preferred order in front of you. The producer, who would be player 3, draws a segment card, which we just did. This tells the wrestlers what their promos are about and what city they're in.
I want to be that guy.
And what city they're in. Okay, the producer then draws 3 smack cards. Do not show the smack cards to anyone. Okay, we already did that. Sorry. So let me draw another one. So we have a blank, we have Christmas Carol, and we have no gold. The speaker must make fun of the lack of championships their opponent has won. You could easily Clash at the Feast that to me. The producer decides which wrestler goes first. Each wrestler has 45 seconds to give their promo. The producer is responsible for keeping track of time. During a promo, the producer can play as few or as many smack cards on the wrestler as they want. They must allow the wrestler to respond to the first played smack card before the next smack card can be played. And then the producer reads them out loud.
Producer could really screw someone here.
Yeah.
All right, so here's my goal. I really want to play this with CPA and Top Shelf Troy Nelson, just so I can hear them cut a promo on each other, and I can make them cut a promo in Saginaw, Michigan. Shout out to the Off the Hop Rope listeners who are going to get that reference.
Now, there's nothing here, unless I'm missing it, about the name cards. How many you pick? I'm probably missing this.
See, I thought that the name cards was like you. Like you would be Johnny Clash, but you would be, say you picked up Soldier. You would be Soldier Johnny Clash, or Johnny Clash the Soldier.
So we got a name card which says Snake, Monkey. So George, your name is the Snake Monkey Slammer.
Oh, okay.
And these are a nice light blue cards. I like the illustrations that they all have. Like this one has lucha masks on it. And then there's a blue card here, which is
the style.
Oh, it says Ultimate. So you know what? You probably pick one first, one of each, and they go together. I get it. That's not that clear in the directions, but you know what? You could have fun with it. That's not like...
the prompts are going to be... can't wait to do this. This is going to be probably the most stressed I will ever be in any game that we play, but I'm going to have a lot of fun with it because the prompts and stuff sound awesome. I feel like this game is made for situations like this, where it's just like, all right, we're going to get a bunch of people together. Everyone's going to make fools out of themselves. And there's going to be the one person that's really good at it. And that's going to be you, Clash.
Well, we do this at Create a Pro for class. Like me and Max Caster used to run Sunday classes every Sunday afternoon. And we would end every class for like 20 minutes or so with promos. But he had in his notes, he would call it Box of Gimmicks, influenced by Bruce Pritchard. And he would just write the most ridiculous stuff in there. And whoever went up, I would pick one from his list. I would probably laugh for 45 seconds first. And then they would have to cut the promo as that person. So it gets a little weird. It gets a little fun. But it brings you, brings you out of your shell to be a different character. So I think this would be a cool game for like actual wrestlers to prepare for like promos and stuff, because I don't know if I've told this on here before. I think I have a long time ago. My first ever WWE experience was SummerSlam 2017, I think, at the Barclays Center. And I was there all 3 days. I wasn't there for NXT, but they bring you into a room. It was just William Regal and the Brooklyn Brawler staring at me with a camera 6 inches from my face, with a green screen behind me, and they said, okay, cut a promo, tell us who you are. And I choked so damn hard, but that's because like I wasn't prepared for a situation like that to be put on the spot and just cut a promo. So a game like this, not only for fans and non-wrestling fans, maybe wrestlers can use it too.
So I'm going to throw this out there. I think obviously you and I are going to have our own regular playthrough where we sit down and we'll get some friends together and we'll do our thing. But I think we need an old-fashioned... Did you just dump all of the cards out?
Like half of them. I'm glad.
Johnny Clash, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, we're on video now. Hang on, let me pick these up. We're playing 52-card pickup this week.
But I think we need an old-fashioned Create a Pro night where we just go... And whoever's there, we just play this game. We pull out a little bonus episode. Same thing like what we did with the what was that? The WWE plug and play game?
Yes. Whoever wanted to stayed, and that was fun. I think that would be cool.
That was the first introduction of now legendary show personality TK Wild.
You know who else was there? J. George, who now is on the Major Pod Network with Major Pod Rewind.
Yeah, I still will never forget that J. George was who Brian thought you were doing this podcast with.
All right, but George, I'm putting you on the spot right now. I'm picking cards for you, and you're going to cut a 45-second promo.
Oh, I am absolutely not doing this right now.
You're on the spot. You're on the spot. You're on the spot, okay? Okay? You are the nasty Slammer.
Great.
We got Slammer again. How did I pull that one twice? I'm going to pull another one. Okay, clearly I'm going in the same spot. You are the Nasty Flash.
Okay. That has horrible connotations to it, but all right.
Hold, please. The speaker must use puns in their promo, so you have to use a pun. And your segment is you're a record setter in Kenya. One wrestler is about to break the record for most days as champion. Their opponent won't let this happen. The producer chooses who is about to set the record.
Hold on. Read me that again.
It's a little weird. One wrestler is about to break the record for most days as champion. Their opponent won't let this happen. I think that's... You just have to... Yeah. Are you ready, Nasty Flash?
So I am the Nasty Flash. I have to use a pun in my promo, and I'm cutting a promo about why I'm not going to lose the title?
No, you have to cut a promo about another wrestler's about to break the record for most days as champion, and you won't let that happen.
Oh, okay. How I'm going to end someone's title reign.
All right. Timer's set. Are you ready?
This is going to be so bad.
Rick, welcome to promo class. I'm going to give you a halfway mark, okay? And then I'm going to give you a 5-second wrap up.
This is going to be awful, and I'm going to be so bad at this.
Are you ready, Nasty Flash?
No.
Start by introducing yourself and, where you are. You're in Kenya and whatnot. All right, ready? Set. Go.
When the Nasty Flash comes to Kenya, when he wrestles in Kenya, every match is a 5-star match. And the next time that we wrestle, you think it will be the crowning of you being the longest reigning champion in all of history. But I'm going to show you that you're like school on Sunday, no class, and the Nasty Flash is ending your title reign.
That was pretty good. I like the pun.
So little Shane Douglas action in there.
You know what? I would not have been able to think of a pun that quick, so you would have won that round.
That's the classic Shane Douglas.
I know.
ECW line.
I know. It was pretty good. I'll give you a point for that. Okay.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's probably the best that I'll do.
You just say them so proper. Like you're not like, today I am going to whoop your ass again. You're like, I am going to whoop your ass again.
That's like the thing that I don't like. I feel like that's like a learned talent. Like that's something that like you learn in promo class, like to not like to have like that kind of like hard ass edge to it and not be so like, my name is Bob and Bob's going to kick your ass and end your title
just
reign.
the Kip Stevens promo. But all right, there is an expansion to this game. It's called Lewd Attitude. And it's more vulgar, more, not safe for work. And we're gonna look at this first. It says
this is gonna be
put your kids
your
to bed.
prompts. Your prompts all coming from in here, and you're doing the 45-second promo on this one.
Yeah, all right. My name is I pulled the wrong card first.
It can't be worse than the Nasty Flash.
It is the Orgasmic Cage Fighter.
I still think mine was worse. Mine sounds way more.
Oh, so the expansion comes with a rules card, so you could play this as a standalone as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
The speaker must refer to their legion of freaks during this promo.
All right, so you're Scott Steiner.
And the wrestlers are fighting for custody of their child. Whoever wins get their child.
Oh, so it's Scott Steiner fighting for Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, so the orgasmic cage fighter. You got
I got the timer.
Right.
So wait, this is halfway? You're not going to need it.
Just tell me if I'm going over.
Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
I am the orgasmic cage fighter. I have been troubled for the past 5 years that my son has been in possession of some other man. But me and my legion of freaks are going to take back custody of little Dominic. We are going to climb that ladder, grab that contract, and I will take full custody because I am the orgasmic cage fighter.
That's very hard watching your face that whole time.
Oh my God, the voice immediately killed me. You're just like, I am the orgasmic cage fighter.
I don't know. I don't know where it came from. But that's what I think the orgasmic cage fighter would sound like. So
that's the other thing. There's really, you can't be like, that's not what the orgasmic cage fighter would sound like. Like, it literally could sound like whatever you want. You are the character.
I was afraid to yell because my mic would peak and it would sound pretty bad. But I'm a promo yeller. It's not good. But anyway, Lewd Attitude, as you can see, not safe for work. But you can buy this as a standalone game as well if you don't feel like buying the full regular game. You can get the not safe for work version. And I'll tell you right now, you can order this on smacktalkshowdown.com, and they were kind enough to give us a promo code where listeners of this podcast can get the game by using code GameMarks. So it's fairly inexpensive as well. Smack Talk Showdown, the second edition, is available for $24.99. Lewd Attitude, which is called ADD, they added on to it, is $9.99. And you could also get, if you had the first edition already, you can get just the second edition segment cards for $4.99, which I think is cool. So you put out some new cards and you can go ahead and, get the ones you were missing. The expansion did come with 100 new cards, which is 15 of each pretty much, and then 55 Smack cards. And man, let's talk about the whole packaging, the artwork and everything here, because we said before, this has kind of like a WrestleMania SmackDown combined feel, holding it up to the camera for all of our patrons. And it's got two masked luchas facing off with a microphone in between. Honestly, it's very professional looking. It's very cool. It's something awesome. I would picture seeing in Target, in the game aisle, and I would probably pick it up. I do want to point out this guy, and he's got a little nub over there.
He's got a little nub.
Got a little nub. If that's modeled after me, I'd be like, can you get rid of the nub?
That's the other.
It's an upper body business
prompt. That's the other prompt. Your wrestler name is Little Nub.
Lewd Attitude, similar, but black background and a little more of a distressed font on there because it's lewd.
It's grungy.
But what we have now for all of our listeners is actually an interview with Double Turn, the developers of Smack Talk Showdown, and they're going to answer some questions. So let's go to that
right now.
How you doing, Games Marks podcast? This is Matt, one of the creators of Smack Talk Showdown, and I'm here to answer some of the questions from your Patreon subscribers. So we'll get right into it. First question I have here is, what prompted us to make Smack Talk Showdown? So at the time, me and the two other guys who created the game, Danny and Dennis, we were all working at a game company, and every year they do a game jam where everyone goes into teams and makes a game in 2 to 3 days and then presents it to the company as kind of like a team building exercise. And the three of us, we didn't work at the time. We didn't work in any of the departments. We weren't engineers. We weren't artists. Myself, I work in quality assurance. Danny worked in accountant. Dennis was on marketing. And so I didn't kind of want to just sit around all day doing nothing. So I came up with the idea, posted in our internal Slack channel for coming up with the ideas, saying, hey, who wants to make a card game based on wrestling promos? And right away, Danny and Dennis came in and said, yes, that's 100% something I'd want to work on. And we kind of just then secluded ourselves into a room and watched wrestling promos and kind of birthed the game out of there. And so the next question following up on that is, what are some of the challenges of making Smack Talk Showdown? Some of them, making sure that the game is fun for everyone. One of the things we had to catch ourselves on early on when we were making it is not trying to be too inside baseball with the wrestling references and wrestling ideas that we had, because we come up with all these things that, the three of us thought were, hilarious and were funny, but they were, not landing with anybody else. And we didn't want to, make a game that would kind of put people off when they said, we wanted to make a game that's like, they'd say, hey, do you know what wrestling promos are? Do you know what the wrestlers do talking smack to each other? And if someone says yes, we can be like, great, that's all you need to know, and you can have fun playing the game. Another challenge was, play testing it, making sure that the game was actually fun to play. Because when it's just yourself doing the game over and over and over again, you can get real tunnel vision onto what is good and what isn't good. So the next question we have is, was it inspired by games like Cards Against Humanity and Apples to Apples, but appealing towards wrestling fans? More or less. We wanted to make part of it was we only had 2 to 3 days to come up with the game, so we didn't really have time to make a really complicated game. And party games, are pretty easy. That's the whole point. You're supposed to be able to bring them out at a party, and anyone can pick up and play it right away. So the time constraint that we had kind of led to us doing that. And then we did research. We looked at games like Cards Against Humanity. We looked at games like Apples to Apples, Super Fight, Red Flags. There's another game called Snake Oil, which is essentially very similar to ours, where you, instead of like doing promos and talking smack to people, you're trying to sell a fake made-up product by drawing the cards. So we would, we bought a bunch of those games. We played them all together. We took notes on what worked well, what didn't work well, and what any kind of elements we wanted to incorporate into the game ourselves. And then we used wrestling as the kind of theming and framing of the game. And we of course knew we could appeal to wrestling fans, but we didn't want to just appeal to wrestling fans. We also wanted to appeal to everybody who would want to just play a fun game at a party. And then following up, next question we have, what was the original goal when developing the game, and how did it differentiate from the final project? So we didn't really have a original goal, just to make a real fun game in this game jam that we would have fun with. The original game itself is definitely much different than our final project. Like I mentioned, when we got kind of too in the weeds about wrestling stuff, the first version of the game had 3 different tiers, where you had your indie wrestling tier, your TV tier, and your pay-per-view tier. And each tier had different themed cards of varying degrees of difficulty, and in each different tier you had a different time length to cut your promos. And and over the course of the game you would move up the tiers based on how well you were doing in previous tiers and how many times you won. But we found this was just way too complicated and way too not kind of fun after a while. And some other things that we took out from the original game is we used to have cards that we had a heel face mechanic, where there's a card that you would put in front of yourself that said heel on one side, face on the other, and depending on which side it was flipped, you had to do your promo based on as a heel promo or a face promo. But we found that when we would play with wrestling people, they would kind of get it, but usually it would just default doing a heel promo. People who weren't really into wrestling wouldn't really get it, or even if we explained it to them, wouldn't really get it. And we had cards where you would have to swap from being a face to a heel, and it just kind of broke up the rhythm of the game and just made it not as kind of fluid and fun. And so we just took that out, and really now we just kind of have the main essence of the game, which is you're drawing cards, you're talking smack, and you're having a good time. Next question is, what is your favorite wrestling promo? It's pretty tough. That's a tough question. I've got asked this one a lot, and I think one of my favorite is definitely Scott Steiner's Math promo. That's one we watched a whole lot for this game. The Macho Man Randy Savage's Cream of the Crop promo is another favorite. So next question, anything new in the works or a third edition? Right now, we don't have anything in the works. We're really just focusing on selling and promoting the Smack Talk Showdown base game and the Lewd Attitude expansion, which is their Not Safe for Work expansion. And in terms of a third edition, we probably won't necessarily be making a third edition. We'll probably just be doing reprints or new printings of what we have now when we sell out. we did the difference between the second edition and the first edition is we just learned a lot more between the time when we first made the game and when we did our second edition. So we did, so the second edition we just more or less plays the same as the first. There's just some updates to wording that we found out, work better. There's updates to some formatting on the card. There's updates to some. One of the main things we did is we updated the colors of our yellow segment cards because there was a kind of printing error, and it was also our first time working with Pantone colors in this high volume professional grade printing. But overall, they're very similar. So I don't expect a kind of full-blown third edition down the line. If anything, it will just be kind of a like Smack Talk Showdown Part 2, where it's just more cards, more a companion to the base game, or more expansion packs. We have kind of an internal document that we just kind of throw ideas in. So we'll probably make a new expansion pack or something or other in the future. But right now we're just trying to not stretch ourselves too thin because we are just 2-3 people working on this at any given time. So we're trying to stay real focused on promoting and selling the current Smack Talk Showdown and the Loot Attitude expansion. But hey, if you want to see us making new expansions, new editions, tell all your friends about the game so we can sell it and sell out and have a reason to make new versions. All right, going back to the question, who do you think is the most underrated promo in wrestling history? I thought about it for a little bit, and I think one of the first name that came to my mind when I was thinking on this was Jake the Snake Roberts. I don't necessarily would think maybe underrated might not be the word, but I feel like he's not mentioned a lot of times, or he's not kind of the person who comes to your mind right away when you think of wrestling promos or great wrestling promos, because he kind of had a different style and cadence where, the first thing you think of when you hear a wrestling promo are, loud, bombastic, kind of scream, either yelling type of things and all that stuff. Whereas his were much more calm and reserved, but more menacing. He kept his, he never really raised his voice, but it was always kind of menacing. And I think because of that, he's not really, associated with the first thing that comes to your mind, like, hey, who's a great wrestling promo, or who, when you think, like, I'm going to, like when we explain the game to somebody, is like, do you know about wrestling, or do you know about wrestling promos? And, he's never someone who comes up in that conversation. So for this question, that's what I would think is, for me, I would say Jake the Snake Roberts. And final question we have is, can you do a kickflip? Quick answer to that is no, I cannot do a kickflip. So thanks everybody for asking these questions. It was great answering them. Hope you enjoy seeing the Game Marks podcast play Smack Talk Showdown. And if you want to play it yourself, you can grab yourself a copy of Smack Talk Showdown and the Lewd Attitude expansion, which is 100 brand new cards that are not safe for work. And you can get that right now at smacktalkshowdown.com. And if you use the code GameMarks, you can get $5 off your entire order. And if you want to follow us on social media, you can follow us on Twitter at Smack Talk Showdown without the O's, and on Instagram at Smack Talk Showdown, and on Facebook at Smack Talk Showdown. Thanks again for these questions. Hope you enjoy the game. I'm Matt, and it was great answering these questions.
So there you have it. What everyone wanted to know. Can you do a kickflip? That's a running joke, and it's never going to go away. Maybe one day we'll do a kickflip. I asked
that on Going Postal, too.
Maybe one day we'll actually do a kickflip, and that will end this malarkey.
Don't get me started. You promised that you were going to do a kickflip stream.
And my skateboard is in the garage right now. but I'm still not going to do it. But all right, let's go to some ratings and reviews. We've been a little tense here. The Orgasmic Cage Fighter needs some R&R, some back rubs.
Done. Let's just go.
All right, I used BoardGameGeek.com for some reviews. We have from 2021 from Stormseeker. Do you love wrestling? If you do, this game is perfect. If you want to feel what it's like to cut promos live and unscripted, if you don't like the idea of that, then this game is hard times, baby. I like that. Now, Heifer2322, this one's from 2018, so this goes back to the first edition, says, very fun improv party game. The promos go so quick, so there's a lot of opportunities to change players or go to another round. Even if you don't actively participate in the promos, the audience has a blast watching the players try to make something out of the gimmick names and characters they create on the fly. Highly recommend. That's something that I was kind of thinking, like, if I play this at, say, my family's house, I can't see like my mom doing a promo, because
honestly though, I feel like parents would probably surprise you.
I don't know
with how good they would be. Because think about this. So I have friends who have kids, and when they have to turn it on and be like that stern parent, it's like a light switch. And like that's like kind of like part of what a promo is. Like, you just have to flip that light switch and beyond. So if you're able to like channel that, like, all right, I got to be mean in this promo. I'm a bad guy. I got to lay down the law. And you're just like, all right, I'm in the moment where I'm talking to my kids and I got to lay down the law. Flips it on. I feel like moms and dads probably got.
Oh, my dad would be hilarious at this, just because of how like goofy he would be.
They could tap into.
We play games like Boulder Dash, and there's another game, I don't remember the name of it, but we play a lot of games. This one might be the one I bring over. So, all right.
I think this will be great.
And lastly, these were all the high-rated ratings, by the way. I forgot to say that. This one's rated an 8. It says, if you've got a group of creative, outlandish friends with no sense of shame, this game guarantees a side-splitting good time.
That's this podcast.
That's it. But I'm very much looking forward to playing this with even you, George, during our playthrough, but just having like
even me.
Well, we were talking about doing it like at Create a Pro and whatnot. Like if me and you just did it and had like the Discord judge or something be the producer.
Yeah.
I think that would be a lot of fun.
There's a game night.
That could be.
You can even get prompts for the Discord and be like, hey guys, these are your prompts. This is your character. You could write it down and here we go.
I think we should do that. I think so.
Hell yes.
But those are the ratings from people on BoardGameGeek.com. Easy for me to say. But it's time for our ratings. Because what time is it, George?
It's time to rate the game.
The game!
That joke works because I'm not wearing a watch, see?
I had one on earlier, and I think I forgot that I took it off.
All right, Johnny Clash. Smack Talk Showdown. Will you play it forever?
Woo!
Or future endeavor?
You're fired!
Play it forever.
Woo!
We keep alluding to the fact that we're going to play it in the future, and I don't think this is a game that I'm going to play once and then like tuck it away. This game, like Royal Rumble, which we still haven't rated. Royal Rumble card game is still sitting in limbo. We've never rated that one.
Because because COVID.
Because COVID. But now we could at least do that. But this one, I think, is going to stick around for a while, especially Lewd Attitude. My friends are going to love drinking beer, sitting around the table, and doing these promos.
We should have 3-2-1 this.
Yeah, we should have. So, George.
We should have 3-2-1 this.
What about you? Will you play it forever or future endeavor?
Big surprise. Who knew? It's a future. No, it's play forever. I mean, we've talked about it the entire episode. This is a game that is meant to be played with your friends. And if you like wrestling and Cards Against Humanity or anything of the sort, if you have a group of friends that literally there is no filter and you can just be unabashedly stupid in front of each other and not feel uncomfortable or ridiculous, this is the game for you. I definitely see me and John getting together with a bunch of our friends and playing this, some friends of the pod, if you will. I just had a weird idea.
Uh-oh. Is it involving the Orgasmic Cage Fighter?
You think the wives would want to play this?
I actually already brought it up when people were over, I like pointed to it like, want to play this? And she was like, hell no.
Hell no.
No. But
Well, we'll figure that out eventually.
But hey, like we said, smacktalkshowdown.com. Use code promo. Yes. Well, technically, it is a game about promos. Whatever. Use promo code GameMarks and you will get $5 off your entire order. I think that's a pretty damn good deal. That means you can get Loot Attitude for like $5. So why wouldn't you do that?
Yes, absolutely. Now, we are heading on over into the new segment that we have talked about over the last 2 weeks. It is now time for Softlock.
Final round. Fight!
All right, so Softlock is a new segment on the show where a Megamark will give us a topic in our Discord, and John and I will debate that topic for, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes to wherever the point that we are feeling that we are getting to a point where we're getting mad, and the conversation needs to end, and we reach a Softlock. Now, the name comes from
our experiences playing on George's PC.
No, it's a video game term. So like if something, when a game freezes and you need to hit the reset button on your console, it's called the softlock. So
You know who never has a soft lock?
oh god, no, that's
Anyway, this week's softlock topic comes from Megamark Tecker, and he wants us to debate Sony and Microsoft buying up all the studios, essentially eliminating most third-party studios. So are we on opposite sides here? Do we have to be on opposite sides here? Or are we just going to pose an argument for argument's sake?
I think we just talk about it, and I'm going to try each time that we do this segment to try to see the argument from both sides, because I already have an argument for both sides in my head.
Start us off.
So big companies buying off smaller third-party studios is a great thing for the developers themselves, because it casts a bright light on a smaller developer and brings more attention to the catalog of games that they have. And, who doesn't like that? I mean,
but we're not seeing that. We're seeing
it's promotion.
Big companies get bought.
Well, I mean,
think of it like indie wrestling. You have WWE and AEW, which could be Sony and Microsoft, but then you have every indie promotion underneath them, which is
like,
your
what if
Steam
WWE
library.
bought AEW? Now there's no, I mean, so that's the point. That's the point, is that there's kind of a side to both of these. It all depends on the studio at the same time, but also you have to think about the funding that now can go through. These companies, some of these companies who had major titles previously in their lifetime, that now maybe kind of on the outs in terms of like maybe their last couple of releases were a flop. Now they've got this bigger company buying them out. Now they're a part of this bigger corporation. Now they've got all this capital to reinvest and to redevelop new games, maybe start new IPs. But at the same time,
I think it's so much simpler than that. I think they just want exclusives to like fuck each other.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I think that's it.
That's 100% a huge part of it. But I would have to think at some point there's also some like, that also can tie back into the whole making money thing. Like,
it's all about making money. Exclusives
10,
make
15
money.
years ago, this publisher had, a game that sold 50 million copies. Now the last 3 games have barely broken 1 million. Let's acquire them, invest some more capital in to get them. And then maybe the next title that they release, whether it's another thing in the series or a completely new IP, will have a little bit more traction because now they're tied to us.
Okay. I see it as they're trying to screw each other, but in the end, they're just screwing us, the end user.
Yeah, that's a huge part. I'll say on the flip side now,
it's all money. It's all money.
Indie developers making games means that 100% of the money that an indie developer makes goes to the indie developer.
Which is great. But then this also ties back to
that's what it should be.
One of our most popular games that we play with our Discord, and that's Wordle, just got bought up as soon as it got hot. got bought up by New York Times.
New York Times.
And like, what is it going to change? Like, what should the developer, like the original Wordle guy, I think his name was Wordle, should he have waited and got more money from somewhere else? I don't know.
It really, at the end of the day, there are people in charge of these companies who start these brands with a goal. And yes, everything starts out as a passion project. Everyone's like, I want to make this game because it's a dream to have a game and make this game and this, that, and the other thing. But going back to what you said, that everything's about, video games are a business and you want to make money. So if you're
money.
Exactly. If you're an indie developer and you're making a game, and there's a whole other debate to be had about like Steam and the Epic Games Store and
we have a lot about that.
Xbox. There's
coming up next.
There's a whole other thing to be talked about that and the funds and the distribution of money and sales and stuff like that. That's a whole other topic. But I mean, I really, it's like a case by case basis. I feel like I'm doing all the talking, John. You get. How do you feel?
I just told you how I feel. It all comes down to the dollar. It's not screwing each other. It's screwing us in the end, because even right now, like, I want to play The Last of Us, but I don't feel like powering up my PlayStation. I want to play it on the PC because that's what I'm sitting here on. So I went with Death Stranding instead. So, like, I don't know. Like, it would be great to have everything on every console, but then what's the point of having every console? You need those exclusives, or else it's just, everything's just the same. But, the whole buying these companies thing, it's just, I don't know, it's just a big middle finger to the other guy, and there's like no point to it other than making money. And that's, I guess, what the world is run by, so that's it.
Capitalism is a bitch, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And like you said, the only people that really get screwed by it in the end is us.
Right.
And it sucks, and it's a shitty situation. It's part of the beauty about this topic. There's really, about this segment, there's really no wrong answer. It's all a matter of people's opinions and how you see this, and if you're, what side of the fence you're on. Like, I'm sure these companies getting bought out are like, hell yeah, I'm making a shitload of money now. This is great. But on the other side, I'm sure there are smaller developers that were just like, there's no amount of money that would make me sell my studio. Like, this is for a lot of people, a lot of smaller developers, these are passion projects. Very similar to how, we started this podcast. Like, you and I both still have full-time jobs. The podcast is a passion project. It's a hobby.
Yeah. We just happen to be on the Major Pod Network.
Yeah.
But all right, I think that's where we could end it. That's where we could reach our soft lock. But is it time for some gaming news?
Yeah, we're hitting the reset button and we're back into the regular pod format because it's time for some gaming news.
All right, Epic Games announced last week that it is now officially purchasing Bandcamp, which is a website dedicated to music publishing for independent artists. See, there's another one. But are you familiar with Bandcamp? I'm assuming, yeah, you probably lived on it like I used to.
Hell yes.
Yeah. Great stuff. Capcom has announced that it's bringing Resident Evil 2, 3, and 7 Biohazard to next-gen platforms later in 2022. We alluded to that last week when we said that some of the characters were kind of upgraded in the history page. Steam Deck is up and running and pumping out exclusive games. Now, there is something on here on the website where when you go to order a Steam Deck, it says Steam Deck is available to reserve now in select region and has begun shipping to customers in order reservations were made. Choose which version to reserve below. When inventory is available, you will receive an email and have 72 hours to complete your purchase. So, a little rough to come out with this cool item and then
not have it be ready.
Not have it be ready. Should they have set the release a little later? I feel like this was pretty recent from start to finish. I mean,
I would imagine that things were going smoothly and that they had a big production halt, the way that most industries did during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes, this was something that was announced a few years ago.
Probably also get it quicker than you can get a PS5 or an Xbox Series X.
Yeah. But you know, it's I had mentioned last week that music master of the show, Max Klein, who makes a lot of the music here on the Game Marks podcast, will be getting one eventually. I remember he said that he ordered it like as soon as it was announced, so I got to see where he is in the distribution. But maybe we'll have a little interview and talk to him about his experience with it, because this could be a game changer for PC gaming.
Oh, for sure. I'm looking forward to possibly getting one if all goes well. Now, Iced Tea.
Ooh, I am on board for this one.
My friend that I spent New Year's with one year says, Gamer Stuff, the one game they need to reboot, would be a huge hit all over again. And he posted a picture of Def Jam Fight for New York. And
I don't want a reboot.
We want another one. We saw this last year. I don't remember which rapper it was that posted it, but they wanted it back too.
I believe it was Method Man.
Might have been Method Man. Bring it back, guys. Come on, please. Give us the game we like.
I'm all for it.
Bring back Crow.
I want all of it. I want a whole new Def Jam game. We still have. Does Icon count?
I guess.
If Icon doesn't count, or if it does, it depends. We still have one more. There's still the PSP version of Def Jam that we have to play. Which, hey, you never know. Could be coming out. It's been a while since we've dove back into those.
Yeah.
That feels like it was a lifetime ago. Holy God.
It really does.
So I'm all for it. I think that this was a great series. I think that there is definitely a void of this style of a wrestling fighting game, where it's like clearly like these are famous people. Like obviously you still get games. You talked about Death Stranding earlier, where you have like these celebrity cameos, but like this was celebrity on top of celebrity on top of celebrity on top of celebrity. So
here's a question. How many more Kinnikuman games do we have? A good amount? A few? None?
No, I think there's only one or two left, honestly.
Man.
I gotta consult the list.
Yeah, consult the list, because I miss Kinnikuman. I miss Mr. Ultimate Muscle.
Let's see.
It's been a while since
we've played all of the muscle games. Let's see if there's a Kinnikuman game that we haven't played. No, I think we're done.
No, we'll have to dive deeper into that. There's got to be a sequel of something somewhere. Or there's the almighty replay. But all right.
Yeah, the replay.
Enough
The
Kinnikuman.
rewind's coming back.
Let's talk about games releasing this week. Jurassic World Evolution 2, Camp Cretaceous Dinosaur Park DLC, whatever the hell that is, coming out March 8th.
Camp Cretaceous.
Yeah, whatever. Assassin's Creed Valhalla Dawn of Ragnarok DLC is coming March 10th. Distant Worlds 2 for the PC March 10th. Submerged Hidden Depths for the PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, and Xbox March 10th. Time Loader also March 10th for the PS4, Xbox, and Switch. Workshop Simulator coming out March 10th.
So many simulators.
And .hack GU Last Recode for the Switch March 11th. And here it is. March 11th, WWE 2K22 is releasing.
Damn.
I can't wait. We mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that we've been doing more playthroughs, and I think with my Rise mode, we're going to have like endless amount of YouTube content. I think maybe we take one of, either you take the women's or men's, or I take women's or men's, and we split them up and we see what we could do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like we had talked about how we're going to do your solo playthrough, my solo playthrough, and then we're going to do
hours.
the universe and the GM together. So, I mean, and that's not even talking about just like, who knows? Maybe we'll just go live on Twitch and play for a couple hours together. Maybe I'll see if there's anyone who wants to play from another podcast. Maybe Smart Mark wants to play.
Let's make Brian Myers play. All right, you ready to wrap it up here?
Yeah. YouTube.com, guys. YouTube.com/GameMarksPod for all of our weekly playthrough videos, exclusive content, and more, including this week when we do it, and every other week's game, all on there, living. What else is on there, John? The first season of GMP 64.
And you know what else
last
is
week,
on there? Yeah.
we did the draft, baby, for season 2, because we are back. Monthly streams on Twitch, GMP 64 season 2, new roster, new creator wrestlers, Johnny Clash versus George Feis. John won the first season, and we're gonna see what happens in season 2.
And I believe we said, I put it in my calendar. Was it April 24th?
27th.
27th. That's a Wednesday.
No. I thought you said March 27th.
March 27th. Okay, I was looking at April. March 27th is going to be the first show live on Twitch. Great. But that was cool. It was fun to do the draft, fun to steal some guys from you. Let's talk about what we got going on this week on Patreon, because we got the ad-free show and the video version coming out today. Tomorrow you're getting, if you're listening on Monday, Tuesday you're getting the show notes and GMP Game Over, where we are continuing our playthrough of Feel the Bang. I have some vendettas against the Outsiders I need to take care of. Maybe we need the Orgasmic Cage Fighter. Wednesday.
I want this to go away immediately.
Wednesday, Future Endeavored on Patreon, where last week you played WWE Raw, I think.
Did I?
We'll see.
Did I?
And this week I'll be playing WWE Raw for the Xbox. Thursday, I hope you all watched on Patreon, Wild's World Season 1 dropped, and it was a doozy.
Wait, Season 1 or Episode 1?
Well, technically, Season 1, Episode 1 dropped, and it was a doozy, and I cannot wait for next month's episode, because the Patreon subscribers, they're already giving him ideas, and I don't like where this is going. Something about kiss face paint, and I don't know.
The intro alone is my favorite. I love TK Wild as it is, but that intro was just above and beyond what I expected, and you were just like, George, you need to watch this intro. I honestly think that we should post just the intro
we could.
on
Sure.
YouTube. It's that good.
Sure. Friday, I'm going to try to get a little preemptive Clash and Burnout. I have an interview idea. I just need the other body to be able to do it, and we'll see if we could do that. And then, like we said, GMP 64 is making its comeback, and we're going to...
Is it me?
It's not you. That's what this show is for. And yeah.
You don't interview me.
What do we need to know about you? Hi, I'm George. I can't play Aliens Exist. All right, tell us what we're playing next week, because now all right, I'll tell everybody. We had the Mega Marks vote. We gave them some options, and out of 4 games they chose, listen, we are playing in honor of the game releasing this week. Oh, there's going to be so much content. WWE 2K
Content.
20. Oh, boy.
Content, he says.
Content.
He says content.
Content.
Oh, God. All right. Well, GameMarksPod.com/shop for all of our exclusive merchandise. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod for all of the new shirts. We got some new shirts coming out. John's working on some designs. I'm working on some designs. Maybe some of the new shows that are coming out are also going to have some shirts that are going up. And of course, patreon.com/GameMarksPod for all of our exclusive content, like the show notes, exclusive shows, and more, and like the video version that you could be watching right now. Me and John. Look, I'm making a hand gesture to John right now, and you only know it. You only can see what I'm doing if you're watching on Patreon. At GameMarksPod on all forms of social media. Make sure to smack that subscribe button, leave us a review and a rating on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you have a product or service that you would like to advertise on this podcast, please reach out to us at GameMarksPod@gmail.com. First video episode done. Nailed it. Killed it. Never need to do it again, right? This is it?
Every week, subscribe to Patreon. You're getting the video version.
All right. What was your name? The Orgasmic Cage Fighter take us home. Do that thing.
Game over. Marks.
I quit.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.